It's Hi, Arias. Yeah, welcome again to this section. This session will be about Web3, and I'm so proud to have you on board for joining us on another session of I4J Community Workshop. So yeah, it will be a personal interaction between I and you, just like I said all the time. And I will be so glad for you to express yourself in detail some of the things we need to know about Web3. So, hi, Arias, how you doing?
Hi, can I present my screen?
Yeah, sure, you
I
can.
don't know. I had the whole presentation planned out, but the host has disabled the presentation. So I think if you grant me the
Awesome.
access,
Okay, awesome. And I thought it would be a very good resource to our audience after the call.
Yeah, I could share that as well. So, but it's a pretty basic one. I don't think anyone would get what the basics of the thing is without needing like an explanation of the video, like you said. So it's just a pretty basic
Okay,
presentation.
we just relied on this recording.
Thank you for that. So grant me the access to share my screen so that I could be able to do that.
Sure. Yeah, you can go ahead now.
Can you see my screen? Hello.
Yeah, sure. We can see it clearly now.
Okay, great. So thank you for having me, Kamal. I think can I get started?
Yeah, sure. You can get started now.
What exactly is Web3, right? That's the whole point of this conversation. But I think before we go to Web3, I think we need to go back to the root of all these web versions, right? So what is Web 1? Web 1 was a version of internet that we had before Web 2. It's basically a version that only allows text. So there was nothing like video. You can't publish video. You can't publish images, right? You can email people, but you can only put that in a text context. And then after that Web 1, we had a version where there was Web 2, right? And Web 2 is the version of the internet that we are right now, where it's owned by a centralized organization like Facebook, which is owned by Mark Zuckerberg, and he's the CEO. You have YouTube. You have all these websites that we eventually have right now as a version of Web 2. They allow you to pass information across with either with visual or text or audio or whatever you want to. And it is the most swift version of web that we have so far. And then you come to Web 3, right? So Web 3 is the advanced version, which is called, which is a centralized version of the internet owned by DAOs, right? So DAOs are called the decentralized autonomous organization, right? They are, for real, an example of yourself. So if, for example, you're mining for the Web3, or you're helping in any way decentralize Web3, you are a DAO. So Web3 is run under a blockchain. Blockchain is a technology that secures people's information, if that makes sense. So I don't know if all this are even making sense, but at the end of the day, I'll generalize the whole explanation so that it all makes sense, because I'm just jumping from one point to another. And with Web3, there's just a lot of information around all these things that it might seem confusing sometimes. And I think that's the reason why a lot of people do not get it, because every information or every part of Web3 is from different places. So a blockchain is a form of decentralization, and it's a form of technology that people use to secure informations and distribute information at the same time. So if you would, it's a form of ledger that keeps every log of information online, so that if another person comes, they will not be able to tarnish or destroy the previous information that has already put in the ledger. So you might say, oh, hey, but if I could be able to get that computer that stores every log, I can just delete the information. Well, it is not possible, or at least it's somewhat impossible to do. Before you be able to change the information that is on the blockchain, you have to meet everyone that is on the blockchain and erase that information at once, which is impossible. So if an information is put into a blockchain, it records that version of an information to everyone that is on the blockchain at that point in time, or that is at least mining for the blockchain. So what makes Web3 special is because they are run on smart contracts, right? Smart contracts are form of ways where you don't allow a specific person to run informations, right? And that's why it's so amazing. If a smart contract is created for, let's say, said company, let's say you want to create a Facebook version of the internet, of Web3, right? You create a smart contract that creates like sort of like law around the whole platform and says that people are allowed to post only once a day. People are not allowed to delete what they've posted. People are not allowed to do all these sort of things. And that smart contract will execute it as perfectly as possible, where there's no way, or there's no, how would I say, it's just not possible for that information to be removed. That might be a good and a bad thing. But just to summarize all the things I have said, Web3 is just a form of internet that's more advanced and decentralized. Right? In a way where every information is owned by everyone that is on the internet, instead of owned by an organization that used to be with Web2 and Web1. Hello, Kamal. Have you been hearing me, or was I been speaking to myself?
Yeah, clearly. I've been hearing you clearly.
Yeah. So I just wanted to see if there's form of questions around the whole Web3 and things like that. I think that's just the basic definition of Web3. It's just a version of an internet where everyone owns their information and data, or at least if everyone do not own it, the DAOs owns it. So DAOs are the ones, are just the community, which is you at the end of the day. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Arias, for that beautiful and exact information about Web3. So some people have this conception of comparing the Web3 technology to the Web2 technology, or to, let's say, the metaverse technology. How relatable are they in terms of comparing the three aspects: Web2, Web3, and metaverse?
So metaverse it's a totally different thing on its own. And I think the reason why people are comparing Web3 and Web2 is because we haven't gotten to the Web3 stage yet. I would call it we're still at Web 2.0. So the reason why I said that is, if you have a Bitcoin or an Ethereum, right, you are going to still exchange that Ethereum or Bitcoin to Naira, for example, to get to use that money. If not, it's useless to you. But a perfect Web3 situation would be you using that Bitcoin to order things online without or use it in your day-to-day lives without needing to convert it back to Naira, if that makes sense. So there are just a lot of technologies that are not yet perfect for the Web3 scenario yet. And I would say that every technology that claims they are Web3, they are still Web 2.0 in a way, where it's not yet perfect. We're still in the middle of it. So the whole metaverse thing, metaverse is already available for everyone to access. But I think the perfect metaverse would be in conjunction with the Web3. If that makes sense. So you have a situation where there are these things called NFTs, right? NFTs are non-fungible tokens. They are a way to validate ownership of a digital item. So let's say I create this slide and I want to put it online, right? And I don't want any other person to have access to this slide, or at least they could have a version of this slide, but they do not have the original slide. Then we convert it into something called an NFT. We put it on the blockchain where it creates a transaction address for this specific slide and says that if you want to find the original slide, which is this, you have to have this, it has to come from this wallet, right? And each blockchain are verified from a wallet address or a wallet owner. So when you have this metaverse of a thing that you're calling a metaverse, it's just a whole avatar of yourself. Throughout this slide, I've been using my Memoji. I'm not using my picture, right? It's my Memoji. So it's a digital version of myself. If people see the Memoji, they will be able to identify that, oh, hey, I think this is Ariel's, or if the whole Memoji is streamlined to look like me or not even look like me, at that point in time, the only way they can identify that this is Ariel's is by that wallet address on the blockchain, which again comes back to NFTs in a way. So if you are creating a perfect world of metaverse, it has to be streamlined to a technology where everyone can be traced. You might want to be anonymous, but at the end of the day, you'll be traced back to your wallet. So if you have like a game or you're playing like a game, you would then be able to trace that back to yourself. Or if, let's say, you bought a game in Call of Duty, like with time, you can be able to move that payment or purchase to another game like Fortnite or something like that. That's the whole metaverse idea. Kamal, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm with you. I think, yeah, thank you. That is so deep. It makes us, or it made us transgress from another sector to another field entirely. And I think
I think let me even make an examples of what metaverse are yet already available that some people might not know it's metaverse. So if you take a game like Pokemon Go, it's a metaverse version of a game because you can be able to pick an information that someone kept in another place, right? If you take games like Fortnite, where you create custom skins for yourself and play the game like another, it's a version of yourself within that game. It's a whole metaverse. But the reason why people are associating it with Web3 is they want a world where if I have a currency in Fortnite, I can be able to use that currency in another game, for example, or have a avatar version of myself and shop online without people needing to know that it's how Ariel's looks like in real life. I don't know if that makes sense. I think that's a simpler explanation of what it is.
Oh, thank you so much, Arias. And I have another questions before I take a question from the audience. From my own perspective, how would you say the Web3 current trend relates to how we are currently operating socially here in Nigeria? Uh, what would you say about that?
If I hear you correctly, you're saying that how does the whole Web3 experience relates to what we have right now in Nigeria?
Yeah, I mean our social activities right now. Yeah.
I think we're not there yet, to be honest with you, but we're somewhere, right? I think Nigeria is the second, even with the ban of crypto in Nigeria, Nigeria is still the second largest crypto transaction or buying in the whole world, right? And I'm not talking Africa, I'm saying in the whole world. So I think people have realized that this is the future, but still yet we haven't know how to utilize that future. I think a lot are just investing or a lot are just trading for making money purpose, not for actual future purpose. But I think with time, everything will catch up to the right thing. If you look at a lot of places in 1998, 1999, 2000, they were using internet so well. And we in Nigeria haven't really catched up to that yet. But if you look at now in Africa, we're the largest user of internet, right? Even though it's crazy expensive. So I think if we give it 5 or 10 more years, I think Nigeria would be one of the best adopters of, Web3. Because if you look at it, I have a friend of mine who is creating health-related Web3 company in Nigeria and has secured a funding of over $200,000, right? If you look at it, there are people in Nigeria, one of the largest fintech companies right now in Nigeria is called Patricia, a sort of like Web 2.0 or 2.5 company, which they have crazy money. So if you really look at it, I think with the next 5 or 10 years, we really get there. But right now, not to lie to anyone, we're not there yet.
So it means we're just creating a buzz around it without fully implementing some of these Web3 tools.
Absolutely. We're just creating a buzz around it. And I would say that a lot of people don't even know what it is. But as soon as their friends say, oh, this is Web3, it is good, it's nice, and things like that, they jump on it. And that's why I think Bitcoin too was so adopted by Nigerians, is because we know how to bring our friends in stuffs, right? But other countries do not do that. If I tell you now, oh, Kamal, please download this, you might not even ask me what are the implications of that. You just say, oh, Area said I should download it, fine, right? And I think that's what's happening with Web3. People are just creating the buzz. A lot do not even know what it is. A lot do not even care to know what it is. We're just saying, oh, hey, I think it is a future. Oh, since Area said it's a future, I'm going to have it. That's all.
Oh, yeah, I think that's so great. Thank you, Iris. Yeah, would you please uh, stop sharing your screen so that we can take questions from the audience? Okay, yeah, it's amazing having some of the good people in here today to talk about or to listen to Web3. And I believe most of us would have similar questions that is raging currently in my heart. And I would just like to give you room to ask that question from Areas. Areas has been advocate on Web3 so far, and he has been very, very consistent with following the trend in technology, not just following the trend, but also applying the latest trend to ensure that we keep a balance and we are also working towards the direction. So yeah, I think the first questions from the audience comes from Alexis. So he said, what are the domains of Web3 and which do you think is not being paid much attention to? Yeah, Areas?
Um, So I want to get fully what this question means, because it might mean two things. Because a lot of people, when they hear Web3, they are saying, oh, it's come out ETH or areas.eth, right? And if that domain is what you're talking about, that is not a domain, it's a simplification of a wallet address. I want to be sure if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, could you please expatiate your question? Alexis, you can unmute and talk. Yeah, he said Web3 means using blockchain.
So I think you're talking about the startups or companies that are already using Web3 technology. So I cannot talk about the companies using them. I think if you make research, you'll be able to find them. Because the reason why I can't talk about them is every Web3 technology has a form of currency or token tied to it. And if I am telling you about it, it means I'm giving you a sort of financial advice, which I cannot do as I'm not a financial advisor. So what I would suggest is for you to just go online and check basically who are the founders. If you see that they are the one that could be able to create buzz around a said Web3 product, then you follow that trend. If not, then not. And again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just giving my 2 cents around it, if that makes sense. So that's just my own. I think Seung or Sheung has their hands up. I would love to hear from them as well.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Elias. I think he has not, you have not answered his question correctly. He's just trying to ask some other thing. Please check the DM. He said, I'm asking which domain is not being much paid attention to, like DeFi, for example, decentralized finance,
DeFi.
or maybe of decentralized exchanges.
In that, okay, yeah, I think I get your question right now. So if you talk about DeFi, they are just mostly, decentralized financial institutions, right? And if you talk about DEX, they're just decentralized, exchanges, for example. I do not really pay attention to which one is not being paid attention to the most, or which one is not, or which one are people using the most and things like that. I just think that I take it the way I can. I've been paying much attention to DeFi lately because I had a company reached out to me and wanted me to work for them. So I need to understand the kind of technology before I will be able to get myself into it. But apart from that, I do not know which one is above or which one is below. So I hope I'm able to answer your question well.
Okay, yeah, so much, Elias. I think Passage. Sharon, you raise your hand. Kindly unmute and talk. What's your question?
Hello, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you very much for the lecture so far. Please, I really want to ask, what is the underlying programming language that built up Web3, the underlying programming language behind Web3? Is it that somebody can just use any programming language, or what is the programming language behind the Web3 technology?
So first of all, the thing with Web3 is that there are different sides to it. I don't know if that makes sense. So you have the smart contract side and you have the actual platform side, right? But one of the biggest programming language that people use, which changes a lot. So you might learn something around it today and it changes tomorrow. And by the way, I'm not a developer. I'm just giving my advice based on working with developers around Web3 is Solidity. Solidity is based up, it's similar to JavaScript, if that makes sense. So if you can learn that, I think you'll make a lot of, even if you just put like Solidity in your Twitter bio by learning it a little bit, companies will want to offer you, even if you're not good at it, they'll say, oh, hey, like we understand that we all don't know this Web3, we're just trying to get into it. So there's just a lot you could learn about around it. Python as well, C++, all those old programming language, but Solidity is like the industry standard, if that makes sense. If you have that in your bio and you've commented on 3 like Web3 companies, they'll just reply, they'll just DM you and say, hey, we noticed that you're a Web3 developer, do you want to work with us? So things like that, like if you can just learn Solidity, I would say you really do good. And as well, like if you DM me on Twitter, I could get you access to, let's say, a friend of mine that has a community around Solidity and is really doing good in that area.
I'll be very grateful, sir. I'll be very grateful. Thank you very much, sir.
No worries. Thank you for asking the question.
All right, Sheil, thank you for that question. And do we have any question for Arius before we move to the other section of the? Yeah, Alexis, yeah, please go ahead and ask your question. Most of the developed Web3 is for developers, Solidity and all. Is that a question? Please kindly unmute and ask your question, Alexis, instead of typing. Okay, you asked, what is the space looking for product designers? Network has been logging out. Can we have the recording?
No, I think another person, Arafat Ibrahim, said that the network has been.
Okay, yeah. Sure. What is the space looking for product designer? Like, is trying to ask in terms of Web3, what is the prospect for product designers? Yeah, Arius.
So I would say that if you're a beginner product designer, it would be great if you jump on Web3, but know what you're doing. I would just say that in a fair play, there's no much difference between Web2 and Web3 design. So what I would just say is that companies do take chances on beginner designers for Web3, as a lot of them do not, and I'll say this again, a lot of them do not have, there's no one that would, there are little people who are seniors on Web3 or even have an idea of like, what exactly is the Web3? So in that sense, they are taking chances on lots of beginner designers in Web3. I myself am working on a Web3 design system. And a lot of people have been asking, like, what's the difference between the Web3 design systems and the Web2 design system? It's just translating, let's say, for example, the DAOs and the rest of them, translating it into a design and making it easier and accessible for everyone. That's just the whole point. So if you can learn all these terminologies around Web3, understand what they are, and you can translate that into a design very, very well, I think you're a Web3 designers and understanding Web2 already. So that's just my 2 cents around it.
Hi, yeah, thank you so much, Arius, for that insightful comment. I think Alexis would be so clear on that. So before I move forward, I think there is a fact that I would like areas to clarify here. When you mentioned that we are not currently there at the moment in terms of the Web3 technology, as far as Nigeria is concerned, what would your perspective be generally in terms of for Africa at large? So my second question will now be, uh, what are the opportunity that you think fellow product designers and developers can actually, or even if they are not developers or designers, even if you are just a technical writer or a software, I mean, a soft skill personnel, what would you say about it, like the opportunity in Web3?
I would say that the opportunities are there. Like I said, all this Web3 is just, hello?
I mean, if it is,
Hello, can you hear me?
yeah, sure.
It seems
Please
you're
try.
talking.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to say that there are a lot of spaces around people looking for Web3 content writers. I as well have a friend who was on Twitter, who is a big Web3 content writer, and they're paying so much, right? It's just a new space that there are different fields around it, like in the real world as well. If you're a game designer, right, there is a space for you. If you play football in real life, there is sort of like a game where you can be paid to play that game within Web3. If you're, what other fields are they? Whatsoever fields you are, I think doing the research a lot around that and understanding what they do within Web3 is what is going to help you. But there are definitely opportunities, so many opportunities around Web3. And as far as Africa goes, and the reason why I said we're not there yet is, like I said in the beginning, Web3 is sort of like tied to currencies, right? And I think there are two platforms right now. The one that I could recommend very well, which I'm not a financial advisor again, is PancakeSwap, where almost every token and every currency is there and you can swap it with another one. And I think if we as Africans can just create like a token and have that as one that we spend here, I think it will help better the whole transitioning phase to Web3. But if not at the same time, I think creating the buzz around it, letting people understand what it is, how it can benefit us, especially we that we're always silenced by the government, especially in Nigeria. I've had numerous experience with the police, right? And I know most people that are in tech, they always think of us as, fraudsters. If we are immersed in Web3, there won't be that, because you wouldn't even know who is who, right? Until I log into my wallet before I know how much I have and things like that. And work will be so easier there than on Web2 and how we currently do our work system and things like that. So if we can just create more attention around it, let people understand how it can benefit us with time, I think there is a positive adoption by the whole government or whatever. Sorry. By everyone. Sorry, I said government, not government, please. Come on, here.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much, Arias. I think, yeah, I'm sorry, it was the network that is doing me a bit wild, but I think I'm currently back. Yeah, Arias, thank you so much for your time. I think the fireside chat has really been amazing. There are a lot of opportunity for everybody in the trying to explore the Web3 space. But another question that I would like to ask is, Ariels, can you please tell us the leading platform right now that they are currently adopting some of the Web3 technology in terms of building some product on it, either African product or yeah, European product?
I would say this is a little bit controversial because a lot of people do not think they are leading, but they are technically. I think if you want to get into, if you're like a photographer, designer, or whatsoever you are, and the only good or sensible place to put your product out there for people to buy, or at least even get, it would be OpenSea. Or Binance as well have their own NFT platforms, and they are adopting the whole Web3 phase and things like that. Coinbase as well, they just recently started their own NFT platform within Coinbase. They're adopting Web3. So in terms of, let's say, games and things like that, there are companies like Affinity Games, which they are very, very good with. I think if I'm not mistaken, yeah, Affinity, Axie Infinity Games. There's just a lot of platforms that I can't remember which is for which at this point, but I would say it again, like research would go a long way to understand which platforms are for Web3. And there are just a lot that are not, they haven't really gotten the whole technology yet. They are still in their development phase. There are lots. I would say there is 99% of companies right now that are saying, oh, Web3, but they are still in development phase. So we have to also consider that. And that's why I'm saying that even the whole world has not fully adopted this thing yet. We're just creating buzz around it to have everything sorted out with time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course it does. Yeah, it makes a whole lot of sense. Yeah, Alexis still have another question for you, Ariels. You still have like 2 minutes to go. I know how busy your schedule is, and I so much appreciate this time that you are spending with our community members. So it means a lot to us. So what's your worst experience in the Web3 space, and how did you recover from it?
I've lost like $5,000 Bitcoin, right? So I would say that losing your wallet would, and that's why sometimes like advocating for that Web3, how do we create more like platforms that help people around, let's say, managing their wallets? Because your wallet is your profile. Your wallet ID is your profile. Once you lose that, you've lost everything. So example, like there's a project that was thrown to me that they are working on, a recovery person for your wallet. So they have a way of venting, like you have a next of kin, like your brother or your parent, for example, that would stand for you if for so any circumstance or like you're dead or something, they could be able to recover what you have in your wallet. But I think the terrible experience is the fact that everyone is sort of like anonymous. And although the information are public, there's no set limit to what can be done or not. If you have $500 million and you want to transfer it, it takes only a second to go to a destination. If that destination is not the right destination, you've lost that forever, right? There's no any way to say, hey, which is the whole point of Web3, I guess, but at the same time, it's still a disadvantage, right? So I think that's just all I'm gonna say. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ariels, for that. He said again, who are some notable mentions in Nigeria do you think we should be following on Twitter to be updated in the Web3 space? Yeah, for that, I would say follow areas, number one, and follow Ingressive for good. We are looking forward to start advocating for that. Probably this quarter, you will get more information from us very soon as we partner with some other leading ecosystem builder in Web3, people like Polygon and Hall. So yeah, Areas, you can go ahead to answer that too.
Oh, sorry, I did not know I've not muted myself before I was talking. So there's one, it's called Katia Web. They're
Yeah,
very
could you
good.
please type it on the chat box, please?
Okay. Let me do that. Sorry, I'm just trying to get their Twitter from my Twitter. I'll send it there.
Oh, fine. That's so good.
So for agencies around Web3 or people who are doing Web3 stores, so this is one good platform. And for ladies that are looking to get into Web3, there's what we call Web3 ladies. A friend of mine who owns the whole agency. Her name is Oluchi. She does amazing. And there is also Designer DAO. I'm trying to look for it, but it's somehow like far from, I don't know why. So yeah, that's what we call Designer DAO. It's difficult for me to get it, but I think these two ones, if you're able to connect with them, they post a lot of stuff around Web3. And then, yeah, me too, I created another account where I just want to focus on only Web3. I'm going to put it here. So I'll be sharing a lot of things around here. You know, what do they call this thing? Articles around Web3 and things like that. So be on the lookout for that as well. Yeah, those are the three companies I would recommend for now. I have another one, but I cannot find the Twitter. I don't know why. I cannot find the Twitter, so yeah, come on right here.
Okay, thank you so much, Arias. You have been so kind in terms of taking some of our questions, and I think because of time, I have my partner with me here today, Anifa Abdurrahman. I know definitely you've met her severally on platforms like this. She's one of the amazing females doing so well in terms of the tech ecosystem in Nigeria at the moment. So I would like to introduce Anifa Abdurrahman, the current program coordinator at Ingressive for Good. Yeah, thanks for joining us. What would you like to contribute to this discussion? Hey, Anifa, are you there? Okay, yeah, because of time, I think Ariels, kindly post your Twitter handle, kindly share your Twitter handle and the comment section so that we all can follow you and ask some questions online as well. Yeah, it's been amazing sharing some moments and thoughts around Web3, and I believe we would connect with you another time. We another time you pull up or we pull up this type of programs. Yeah. In absence
Firstly,
of
I'd like to say Thank you, Ingressive, for hosting this. Thank you, Kamal and Hanifa, for inviting me for this. It's definitely an avenue that we're looking for, for a lot of people to understand what the whole Web3 is. Like I said, we're not there yet. We're still learning a lot around it. So yeah, and Hanifa is a great community member. I mean, we talk on Twitter and on WhatsApp, so she's an amazing person. This is an incredible space. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
All right, thank you so much, Arias. Have a good time, and yeah, bye. Cheers.
Bye. Cheers.